Alrighty, it's 1:05 p.m. Eastern. We're going to get started with our Placester 201 class. Just want to double check my mic here. I never did get any responses from my check about 7-8 minutes ago. If you can hear me, sound off there in the chat window. And if you can't hear me, I guess you can't hear me, but I did send that message. Also sound off there in the chat window. And then also, if you have any questions as we move along, make sure to send them over in the chat window also so that I can see them and answer them for you. I know I do sometimes go a little too quickly, so if you need me to slow down or go back over something, or if something's not clear, definitely let me know. Before we get started, I see a couple of people say that we can hear me. Thank you so much. Before we get started, I do have one little warning for you. If you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer, I encourage you please switch to a different browser. Internet Explorer does not work properly with the Placester interface. Also, another warning is that right now, it is March 7th, 2018. Right now, for brand new agents, you may actually not be able to access your site even if it's available on your account, because Placester is having some issues with sites for new agents. So you may run into that. You may need to come back to the recording of this class, so definitely welcome to come back and do that. And then that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to minimize my slideshow here. Our first step is going to be to get logged into mykw.kw.com. Your KW website powered by Placester is not accessed by logging directly into your website. It's actually accessed through mykw.kw.com. So definitely get here to your home page. Once you're here on your home page, excuse me, and again, that's not an Internet Explorer because it won't work in Internet Explorer. You'd want to upgrade to a more modern browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, or if you're using Windows 10, Microsoft Edge works fine, but Internet Explorer doesn't. Or if you're on a Mac, Safari works fine also. Once you're here on your MyKW homepage, up in the top black menu, hover over Technology and then click on KW Websites. And then down here, we should have a red button that says Go to my website. If you don't have this red button, refer back to our Placester 101 class for instructions on how to get that button. If you don't have this button, this class wouldn't be for you because that means your site hasn't done the initial setup yet. In fact, it's not even available on your account yet. So definitely refer back to our Placester 101 at slmtraining.com to learn how to activate your site and get this button here. If you do have this button, we're going to click on that button to go through to the Placester interface. And this is where some newer agents with the newer sites may have some problems because it'll start loading and then it'll give you an error, please wait 24 hours, and then some stuff after that. You shouldn't have to wait 24 hours. You can contact Placester directly, and they should be able to fix that up for you on an individual basis, but we have been seeing it as an ongoing thing across almost all accounts. So we're just waiting on them to fix that. But we'll just go through this as well as we can. And if you do have that problem there, you can definitely refer back to this class on the recording. Again, that's at slmtraining.com. Okay, so this is our Placester 201 class. This is a little bit more advanced than the Placester 101, where you get the initial information into the site, get it set up and launched and ready for clients to start using. This is getting into some more of the customization of your site. We're going to be getting into blogging and pages and areas and analytics and custom domains and things like that. So if you haven't already, go through the Placester 101 class, and then this class is after that. So we're going to start here on the Placester dashboard over on the left under Quick Actions. We'll click on Edit Site. And then here we're in Site Settings. That's the menu that we're in right now. We're going to scroll to the very bottom here. Everything down to Lead Capture is what's covered in the Placester 101 class. We're going to start at Custom Domain and move down and then across the top here in Placester 201. First thing we're going to look at here is Custom Domain. This is where you can either change the address that ends in .kw.com if you're in the US, or .kellerwilliamsrealty.ca if you're in Canada. You can change this first part here by clicking on Edit over here on the right. And you would type in what you would want to change it to and then click on Check Availability. So if I were to change this to, or check the, if I wanted to change this to maybe just Scott Leroy, right there, if I check availability, it tells me yes, that is available. But say I wanted to change this to my domain that I already have, my name's Robert. Say if I wanted to change this to Robert Greenstreet, check availability, it would tell me no, that one's not available, and then it'll suggest a couple of options for you to switch to based on your name from the KW white pages. So it's up to you whether you want to change that, what you want to change that to. Just a couple of things to keep in mind. Viewer 2 says they lost me. Where did you lose me? We've only clicked a couple of places here. I'll wait for that to come back. So it's up to you whether you want to change that, what you want to change it to. Just a couple of guidelines there. Don't put realty or realtor in there because the National Association of Realtors frowns on that. And then don't do KW in there because you've already got KW here in your address here, so or at the end of the address there. So after site settings, you'll scroll down. Let me exit here. So we're in site settings, we'll scroll to the bottom under the more section and we're clicking on custom domain. If you had watched Placester 101, you should be pretty familiar with this page. We're down at the bottom here and Placester 101 ended at lead capture and we start here at custom domain. Okay, so where are we? Guidelines. So for changing this address, you don't want to put KW in there because it's already part of that address there. You also can't use an @ symbol in here. If you try to put in an @ symbol, it will accept it. It'll let you save it, but if someone tried to type that address in the address bar, it wouldn't load the page. So @ symbol is only for email addresses. We actually had somebody that tried to do like scott@kw.kw.com or something like that. The @ symbol wouldn't let it load, so you can't have @ in there, even though it would let you save that. Once you've got it changed to something that you like, you're welcome to scroll down and click Save down here at the bottom. And that's already taken, so I'm just going to exit this and come back. You would save it and it would close that and you'd be good to go there. But also if you purchased a custom domain through a domain registrar like GoDaddy or KW Domain Store or Google Domain Store, something like that, like www.robertgreenstreet.com, you can actually connect that domain to this site pretty easily by putting that domain in this box and then also checking out these step-by-step help articles here for how to connect your domain to your website. Now a lot of people get lost in this process and that's fine. That's actually something that we can do for you. It's a free service that we offer through your Market Center subscription. I'm going to send you guys the link to do that. There we go, sending that over right now. You can request for us to set that up for you once you've purchased your domain. We're not purchasing the domain for you. This is just getting it set up, connected to your KW website once you've already purchased it. So you can request for us to do that. That's free through your Market Center subscription. If you don't, if you're having trouble figuring that out yourself, that's what we're here for. Once you've got all that figured out, you would just make sure to save it because remember, you have to click the green Save button for anything in Placester or else it doesn't get applied. After custom domain, we'll come down here to site tracking. There's a couple of sections in here. We're going to go over the top and bottom section here. The Google conversion tracking isn't something that we really work with. This is to do with Google Ads, and we don't really cover that in this class. We're just going to work on the analytics and the Facebook pixel. Up here, if you have set up Google Analytics, and that's really easy to do, just analytics.google.com. If you set that up and you put in your domain for this site, it'll give you a tracking ID, and it looks similar to this, UA-number. That tracking ID is what gets pasted into this box here. And if you're having trouble figuring that out, guess what? That's another free service that we can provide to you guys through your Market Center subscription. I'll send you the link for that. There we go. That's on its way to you there. And by the way, if you guys are watching this in a recording, feel free to shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can send you those same links there so we can set this stuff up for you. So Google Analytics is a really neat tool that tracks what people are doing on your site, where they came from, how long they were there, how they found you. It tracks what, but not who. It's not going to get you any names or phone numbers or email addresses. All of that is voluntary for people to put into your site. They have to actually type it in themselves in order for you to get any contact information. So Google Analytics is a what, not who. And if you want to learn more about how to use Google Analytics, definitely ask us. We do have some separate videos for using Google Analytics. What was I going to say there? And it's a really neat tool, really easy to use. Under that, we've got the conversion tracking. This is with Google AdWords, so where you're posting ads on Google search pages. We're not going to do that. Down here at the bottom, we've got Facebook pixel tracking. This is where if you had set up some ads in Facebook and you wanted to track what people are doing once they get on your site through your Facebook ad, you can set that up inside Facebook. That part isn't something that we can do for you. You would just maybe contact Facebook or maybe an agent in your office that's already using Pixel, you can set that up on the Facebook end, and then they'll provide you with a code snippet. You can just send that code snippet over to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com and then include your MikeW username and password, and we can get this Pixel ID put in here for you. Or if you're pretty savvy, you can find that ID there in your Facebook Pixel settings. You can paste that in this box as well. That's again tracking what they do on your site, but because they came through the Facebook ad, it's also tracking who is doing the things that are on your site. So Facebook Pixel is a really neat tool if you're running Facebook ads. Once you've got those put in there, your tracking ID and your Facebook Pixel ID, make sure to save that. There we go. And then if we scroll back down to the bottom here under the More section, site verification is for a couple of things here, Google or Bing Webmaster Tools. So if you want your site to perform better on both Google or Bing, you can set those up. Just Google Webmaster Tools or Bing Webmaster Tools. You can set that up so that it'll provide, what's it called, tips for you to improve your site to show up better on search engines. Definitely a great tool. If you want some more information on using that, we can get you that. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Google Webmaster Tools in particular is actually something that we can set up for you. We can set up your Google Webmaster Tools, and we can actually get the ID in here that it needs to be in this box. It's not super hard to find, but it's a little bit harder than the analytics tracking ID, so we can set that up for you. And let me send you guys the link for that. There we go. So there's an ID for Webmaster Tools for both Google and Bing that you would put into these boxes. And then the last one here, Pinterest, is say you set up a Pinterest business page where you're wanting to list your website on that profile there in Pinterest. It requires you to verify that you are the owner of that site and that you can make a specific change to that site that they're requesting, which is putting in this code snippet here. If you'll send that code snippet over to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com, we can put what needs to go in this box here for you also. And then you can go back into Pinterest and verify it. So we can get all of that set up for you if you like. Once you've got those in those boxes, definitely make sure to click Save. I'm just going to exit it here. And then the last thing here on the site settings page under More is SSL certificate. That stands for Secure Socket Layer, and that means it's adding security to your site. This is most important for sites that are doing like e-commerce, where they're putting in credit card numbers, or maybe other places where they're doing social security numbers. It's also important for your site because you don't want people to be able to intercept the contact information for the people that are filling out contact forms on your site. So what SSL does is it blocks people that are monitoring network traffic from grabbing out social security numbers or credit card numbers or emails or phone numbers that are being put into sites. And your site has that capability here. For new sites, it's on by default. For some older sites, it may not be on by default, so you want to come down to this section and make sure that this is on here. Now, I do want to point out every once in a while on certain connections to custom domains from some of the really weird domain providers like I can't even remember the name of them because we use them or we work with them so infrequently. But if you bought your domain from somebody that's not Google or GoDaddy or maybe One-on-One or HostGator or something like that, one of the well-known sites, sometimes it can cause problems when you've got your custom domain connected to this site and you turn on this HTTPS. And if you do have problems with that, let us know and we can help you work that out. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Okay, so that's it for site settings. Now we're going to get into some of the more fun stuff. There's going to be a lot of follow along here. We're going to scroll up to the top of the page and then click on Pages. And then once we're in here, you'll see there are 5 default pages that were created when your site was first created. There's an About page, a blog page, a contact page, a listing search page, and the Your Favorite Listings. The first 4 are pretty self-explanatory. This is about you. This is where the blog is listed. This is where you can contact me. This is where you search for listings. Your Favorite Listings is what's called a client profile type page. And what that means is if someone has registered on your site and they've saved any particular listings, they can click on this page and it'll show the list of all those listings that they've saved on your site. It's really convenient for them. You definitely want to leave all 5 of those basic page types in there. If you want to make changes to them, you can definitely click on Edit over here on the right or on the name of that page, and it'll take you to where you can edit that page. Or you can remove some of them. You can't remove the About and Listing search pages. from your site, because listing search is kind of the main point of the site, so you don't want to remove that page by accident. But you can remove some of the others just by clicking remove over here. That'll take it off your site. Again, don't recommend removing any of these basic pages that are on your site. Oh, excuse me. I'm having some hiccup issues here. Now, before we go too much further, we often get the question, what's the difference between a page and a blog post? And I'm glad you asked that. A page is a more static thing on your site. It's you always want it to be able to be found in the same place at the same address in the same menu. It's usually things that aren't going to change very much, like maybe buyer resources or seller resources, or maybe staging tips or a link to your preferred vendors or something like that. That's what you would put on a page. Things that aren't super changeable. You can definitely update the pages anytime that you want to, but you're expecting them to be static on your site mostly. A blog post is basically an article, and as you write more blog posts, older ones are going to be pushed down and make it slightly harder to find than the newer ones. So you expect the information in blog posts to be a little bit more mercurial, more changeable, and you want to have the freshest information first, and some of the older information gets pushed down as you post fresher information. So that's the difference between a page and a blog post. We're going to create a couple of pages here, and to do that, we're going to click on the plus sign to create a new page. Now, before we do that, I do want to point out that for pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas, it's the same button. You've got a plus sign to create a new one of each of those. So we're just going to go back over to pages and click on our plus sign. And then once we're here, we're going to have a lot of the same elements between pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. You'll actually be adding some additional elements as we move right here, but pages is the basic kind. The slug here is essentially the address of this page. I'm not sure why they called it a slug instead of the address, because that's a lot more user-friendly for people to understand. But the slug is affected by the page title here. So if I were to type test page right here, you notice it adds test page to the end of the slug, and that would be the address of this page on my site, just for you guys to know that there. Between those, we've got this drop down here for the template, and I'll go over each of these template types pretty quickly. The default page template is the one that you're going to use most often. This is where you're going to put in your own custom content. You can put your videos or your photos in here. You can add as much text as you want if you want to put some tables in there. This is where you're going to put your own custom content. So like that buyer resources or that seller resources, default page template is the one that you would want to use for that. The About page has already been created on your site. That's self-explanatory. It's About. For Agents Index, that's actually, wow, that wasn't here last time I did this. Agents Index is a page type that's part of an upgrade package. It used to be available for free on the KW sites, but they actually moved it up to an upgrade package. There would be an extra option over here for agents. Agents Index is sort of a meet the team page where you've got links to individual pages for different people on your team. Again, that's an upgrade part, and if you want more information about that, you can get in contact with Placester directly. We don't have any information about that here. You just want to contact Placester themselves. It's their product. And you notice as I hover up and down over this, it's not actually highlighting this option, and if I were to click it, nothing happens because it's not part of my package here. Under that, we've got an Areas Index, which is very similar to the Agents Index and the Blog Post Index and the Testimonials Index. Really, an index is just a list, and Areas Index lists, you guessed it, area pages that you create here. So we're going to create one of these in a minute, but we're going to leave it alone for the time being. Like I said, the Areas Index, as you create area pages, this page is going to list the links to those different area pages. Under that, we've got a blog post index, which again has already been created on your site. It's going to list links to your blog posts on this page right here. Client profile is again that your favorite listings that's already created on the site. That's going to list the properties that anybody who's created an account on your site has saved. Under that, we've got a contact page, again, already created on your site. And that is just going to have a contact form on it. Here's another one that's part of an upgrade package, this custom landing page. You notice as I click hover back and forth over it, it's not selecting it. Again, that's part of a, what's that called? Upgrade package. You want to contact Placester directly about getting those landing pages there. One thing about this, though, is you actually don't have to pay for custom landing pages. We actually have a service where we can create a couple of landing pages for you. We've got one for creating a seller evaluation. It's called What's My Home Worth? There's the link there. We've got one where people can submit a testimonial on your site because the site doesn't have that built in. There we go. And then we also have one where we create a sign-in sheet for open houses on your website. There we go. So we can create those for you really easily. They're free through Google Forms. If you wanted to create your own Google Forms landing pages, we actually have some information on how you can create that yourself if you want to. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get you that information. So you don't have to pay for custom landing pages to Placester. We have some free options there for you. Under that, a featured listings page is if you were over in site settings and you set up your featured listings there to show on your home page. Featured listings page is a page full of those type of listings, the same kind that would show on your home page rather than the regular listings search page, which is just underneath that. It's the listings search page already created on your site, self-explanatory. Under that, this is a really neat one. It's called an RSS feed index. That means that say you already have a blog on another site, so maybe WordPress or Blogger, or maybe you're paying for Keeping Current Matters blogs to post on your site. They should be able to get you an RSS feed that you can put into this page type here, and those blog posts from those other sites would automatically be posted on your Placester site here also, so you don't have to copy and paste them into the blog post section of this site. They can automatically come in. Really fun. Under that, we've got real satisfied testimonials and reviews, or ratings and reviews. This is essentially Yelp for real estate agents. So if you have a real satisfied profile and you have some reviews in there, you can create this page type, sign into your real satisfied account, and it would automatically bring those testimonials over into this site also for you. And then under that, we've got the last page type, which is testimonials index, which is the same as any other index. It's going to list whatever testimonials that you create up here in this section. We're going to create a couple of different pages in just a minute, but for now I just want to continue through the rest of the page options that are here. I'll just select default page template to show you what they are. Under that, we've got the page content section. Not all page templates have a section here for page content, but on the default page template it definitely does. This is where you'd put in your own content, your what's it called, your wording, your pictures, your videos, all of those things. You can add a picture up here on the right. You can embed a video right here. You can add links, bold, italic, underline. This is your basic text formatting section up here. And then if you're really savvy, you can actually type in some HTML here in this HTML editor. Really fun to do if you know HTML. Down underneath that section, we've got a couple of options to check here. One of these is display full width, and this is a great thing to do if you're setting up a custom landing page like with one of those Google Forms that we would create for you, or you can create your own. This would remove the contact form and the listing search form that shows on the left or right of each and every page on your site. This would just show the content of this page all the way across, not showing those two forms there. It's up to you whether you want to add that on there. For the majority of pages like a seller resources or buyer resources or whatever, you don't want to check this box. You want to leave those contact and search forms on your page. But for things like a landing page, you want to limit what they're able to do on that page to filling out that form. So you would want to check this box if you were creating a landing page. And then under that, this option here only shows when you first create a page. So after you save the page the first time, this checkbox won't be here. It's pretty self-explanatory. Leaving this box checked will add this page to your menu once you click save down here at the bottom. Under that, we've got a meta title and a meta description. This is going to hopefully become very familiar to you because everything that you create on your Placester site, whether it's a blog post, a page, a testimonial, or an area, gets its own meta title and meta description. And we'll go into a little bit more about what that is in just a minute. But I do want to get you guys the link to our SEO guide. Let me send this here. There we go, sending that over to you. So this is helping with SEO, which is search engine optimization. The meta title shows in two places. One of those is up here in the browser tab. You see where it says Placester up at the top here. That's the meta title for this page that we're on. Over to the left here, we've got MyKW. That's the meta title for the MyKW homepage. So that's one of the places that the meta title shows up. Also, in search engines, say I were to search for Scott Leroy Marketing. It's also the blue link right here that search engines are showing here in the search engine results. So you're telling the search engine what to show here in the meta title. Now, one little rule of thumb here, a couple of rules of thumbs, is that for the meta title, after about 55 characters, the search engine is going to truncate it into a ... just like this. That's not hurting anything if your meta title is longer than 55 characters. It's just people aren't going to see anything past about 55 characters, and actual people are going to be reading these. It's not just going to be for the search engine. People are actually going to be seeing this. And that leads me down to meta description. This is not the place to put in quote-unquote meta tags. Things like homes for sale in Orlando, buy a home in Orlando, search for homes in Orlando, real estate in, where you load up a whole bunch of quote-unquote meta tags that you want to be found for. Not what this is for. That actually fell out of fashion about 10 years ago. Search engines have gotten a lot more sophisticated to where they're looking at the actual content of your site, what's actually on the page versus what's in this meta description. And in fact, if you put tags in here that aren't relevant to what's actually on your site, you can actually hurt your search engine rankings. So be very careful what you're putting in here. What this is supposed to be instead is about 155 characters. You've got about an extra 100 characters here that people are actually going to be seeing here on the search engine as this gray text underneath the blue link. You're telling the search engine what to display here. Actual people are going to be reading this meta description. So again, you don't want to load it up with quote-unquote meta tags. This is going to be a helpful, human readable description of what's going to be on this page before someone actually clicks on that link on the search engine result. And that is the only place that the meta description shows, is there in the search engine results. So you want this to be helpful for people that find you in a search engine. So to go over all of this at once, we're going to go back up here at the top and we're going to create a couple of different page templates. One is going to be the areas index page. So we'll select that here in the template. And this right here is where it's going to list the areas that we create over here. I typically name this communities I serve. You could do something like my service areas, places I work, things like that. It's up to you what you want to put here in the page title. Just know that what you put here is also going to go up here in the address. Under that, we do have a section here for some page content. So this would be something like learn about the Orlando, learn about Orlando and the surrounding areas from your local expert, Scott Leroy. Something like that. It's up to you whether you put any page content at all. If you do, you just want to basically say this is what this page is. Under that, excuse me, we don't have the checkbox here for display full width. The areas index page doesn't have that option, but you do typically want to add this page to my menu, so we are going to leave that checked as we're creating this page. Under that, we've got our meta title, so this is going to be Communities I Serve, which is the page title, which is usually what you want to start with. You want to start with most specific, most important up at the front, and then less specific, less important at the back, because again, after 55-ish characters, it's going to start truncating it, and you won't be able to see the rest of the meta title there. So Communities I Serve, Scott Leroy. A lot of people put their phone number in here. There we go. And then search homes. Oops. For sale in Orlando, Florida, and then maybe Keller Williams Realty, something like that. And then keep in mind this structure that you used here. In fact, everything from about here back, kind of just copy that, because we're going to be using that on every page that we create, because this part isn't actually changing. We're just changing the first part here, which is the actual title of this page. So we're going to leave that there, copy all of this. There we go. And then down here in meta description, for this particular page, I would recommend just copying and pasting this page content here down here to the description. It's really easy. It is descriptive about what's on this page. And it's, yeah, I don't know about the character count, but it's probably less than 155 characters. Once we've got all of that information in there, we're going to make sure to click Save down here at the bottom. You do also have the option to save it as a draft. That means you would be able to see it here on the site backend, but people on the live site wouldn't be able to see this page, and it wouldn't be added to your menu. It's up to you whether you want to do that. For most pages, you would typically just want to save it and send it live. And it's going to pop up asking me if I want to edit my menu since this page was added to the menu because we left this box checked. I'm not going to click on edit menu, we'll just do close, but you're welcome to do that later if you want to. And you can always rearrange things on your menu at a later time once you're done adding pages. Easy to do. So now if we scroll down here, got this new Communities I Serve page. And if I go over to View Live Site, now I've got that item up here on my menu. And if I click on that, now it's got that little page content section that I added there in this Communities I Serve. And if we had some area pages, they would be listed on this page. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, we're going to come back to our Placester interface here. We're going to click the plus sign one more time and create a template of, what are we doing? I can't remember. There we go. Testimonials index page is what we're going to create. And this type, the testimonials index, doesn't have any page content, and that's fine. We're going to call this, and you can name this anything you want. Typically, I call this Happy Clients. Gosh, I can't type right now. And I'm not going to add the exclamation mark there. You could do this testimonials, you could do reviews, you could do from the horse's mouth if you wanted to. In fact, I'm going to do that just for fun. Something like that. And then one thing I forgot to point out about the meta title and meta description, there is a significant delay between when you create a page or you change the meta title or the meta description and when that change updates on search engines. There are billions and billions of pages that search engines have to cycle through constantly in order to update their rankings there. So if you added a page today, it may take up to 3 weeks for that page to show up on a search engine. So just keep that in mind there. It's not going to be instantaneous by any means. Okay, so down here we've got our meta title. So this is going to be from the horse's mouth. I'm going to add what this is. This is testimonials. Oops. And then I'm going to paste in what I had copied previously for the rest of that meta title there. And if you guys are having a hard time keeping up here, if you want to type out your own meta titles and you want to think about that some more, you can always come back to this page and edit the meta title anytime that you want. Under that, we've got our meta description. Learn what happy clients have to say about working with Scott Leroy, your Orlando real estate resource. Something like that. Once you've got that in there, we're going to come down and save it instead of save as draft. And it's going to pop up asking me if I want to edit my menu, and I don't. I'll close that. So now we've got a couple of additional pages on our site, and we're going to go work on creating some of those page types over here on the right. But first, we're going to jump at blog posts here. So like I was saying earlier, a blog post is a little bit more mercurial. This is essentially an article. It's a time sensitive, not necessarily time sensitive. It's a time relative, I guess, page that you're adding to your site. So like you could do something about, say it was December and your city had an upcoming ice festival, or say it was summer and you're doing some kind of 4th of July giveaway. That's something that you would put into a blog post, or something like dealing with financing right here, or preparing to sell your home. It's a great topics for blog posts there. If you want more information about blogging, we actually have a 30-day challenge for blogging on your site. I'm going to send that over to you. And again, if you're watching this on a video instead of live, definitely send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get you the link to that. It's not very hard. It's just scottleroymarketing.com/challenge/blogging. And we also have an SEO 30-day challenge. There we go. That's on its way over to you as well. scottleroymarketing.com/challenge/SEO. Both of those will get you started with getting your site up and running and getting content on your site, helping you to do better on search engines. Great thing to do. Okay, so for blog posts, there were 5 that were created with your site. These are automatically generated. Everybody gets these same blog posts. These are not created by KW. There won't be any more added to your site, either by KW or by Placester. Any new blog posts are your responsibility. You need to add them yourself. So you can either write your own. You can sign up with a service like Keeping Current Matters, where they write blog posts for you. We do have a blogging resource if you wanted to sign up for that. But definitely check out that blogging challenge for definitely some ideas about blogging. It's actually not very hard. If you blog once a week or every other week, that's plenty. Some people blog 2 to 3 times a week, and that's fine for them. But for most people, starting at about once a week is fine. For these blog posts that are already here, it's just like a page. You can edit them by clicking on the title or on edit here, or you can remove them. One thing I like to point out about this blog post right here, the relocating to the big city, say you're not from a big city, say that's not your service area. I lived down in Pensacola for a long time. Pensacola is not a big city. I might have wanted to change this if I were an agent to relocating to the beach or relocating to a tourist city or something like that, and rewrite some of the content so that it's more relevant to your area. Or you could just remove that and leave it out completely. It's up to you. To create a new blog post, it's the same as creating a page. We'll just click on our plus sign here. And again, we've got a title and a slug, and they switched the order. I don't know why they did that. But our title, I'm just going to do test blog post. And you see that added it to the end of the slug there. Under that, we've got our content section here. It's got the same text editor that you would do on a page, really easy to use. I'm going to go grab some lorem ipsum text. This is some Latin from a really, really old book by some guy that is used as filler text in a lot of website design stuff. I'm just going to paste that in there so that we have some text on there so I can show you what this looks like on the site. Under that, it's got an excerpt. This is adding an additional feature that pages don't have. An excerpt is a short description of what is in this blog post, summarizing it without rewriting the blog post. So this is going to show on your blog index page. So over here on Scott's site, it would show on this page right here. So this is a short, about this blog post basically. So this is a test blog post for the Placester 201 class. Something like that. It's up to you whether you put an excerpt or not, or what goes in there. What was I going to say there? Again, this is just listed on that blog index page, and it's a description of what the blog is about before somebody clicks on it. Under that, we have this section here for featured image. This is going to show up in a couple of places. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. This image can be kind of anything you want as long as it's about the topic of your blog post. One thing about images on your blog is you can't just go to Google and search for an image and use that image on your website. That could be copyright infringement depending on the rights that are attributed to that image. Somebody may come after you for fees or whatever. We actually heard of somebody at the beginning of last year. Somebody came after them for like $260 worth of fees for an image that they were using without having paid for it previously. So definitely be careful about that. We actually have, I wish I had thought to look this up for you. Let me search here. There we go. We have a video showing where you can find free images for your website. There we go. Just sent that over in the chat window there. And again, if you're watching on video, just send us an email and we can get that over to you. So again, be careful about images that you use on your website. You have to have permission to use them, whether you took it yourself or somebody wrote out permission for you, or you bought the rights to do it or something like that, or if it's a Creative Commons image where nobody has to have permission to use it, which is what we describe in that video I just sent you guys. So I'm going to add an image here. And what is that? There we go, blog featured image. I'm going to put this in place there, and I'll show you where that shows up on the site. It shows in a couple of places. Under that, we have, again, our meta title and our meta description. So this is test blog post. That's what this is. It's under blog. The blog is not spelled blue. And then, again, we've got the rest of that meta title that I pasted in there. And then under that, for meta description, typically for a blog post, I recommend just copying the excerpt down to the meta description, because typically if someone sees the excerpt, they're not going to see the meta description and vice versa. So usually pretty safe to do that. And then we would either publish that or save it as a draft. Now here on blog posts, saving as a draft is a really neat tool. You can write the blog post today, it's Wednesday, but say your blogging schedule says I'm posting every Friday at 1 o'clock. I can save this after I wrote it today, and then come Friday at 1 o'clock, I can post it and publish it, so that would keep to my schedule. So I'm just going to publish this for now, but keep in mind you can save it as a draft. And that's again covered in our blogging 30-day challenge. So now we've got that new, where is it? Oh, it's up here at the top. Now we've got that new blog post there. So if I go to the blog page on Scott's site here, Apparently, it's still got an old one. Oh, I forgot to remove that. This is from where I did this a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so now if I refresh this, it's only going to have one version of this. There we go. This is the one we just created. This is one place where that featured image shows up. And then also on the page itself, if I click on the image or the title or on read more, it shows up across the top here, but it's only showing the top half. So be careful about what you're putting in that featured image because it is going to cut off the bottom however much. It's only going to show the top part there. Again, we've got our title. It's got the date that it was posted. Here's our content down here. And then again, it's got a listing search and a contact form, just like on every page on the site. It's got some share buttons over here. They can print it. And yeah, that's it for creating a blog post. So, excuse me, now that we're done with blog posts, we're going to jump over here to testimonials. This is where you would manually put in testimonials that you got from other sources. So say you've got a Google review or a Zillow or a Real Satisfied, if you decided not to do the Real Satisfied page over here, or a email review that somebody sent you, this is where you would put in your own testimonials. And in fact, you'd have to do that for any testimonials that you get. There's not a way for someone to submit a testimonial on the site and it automatically goes on this page, which if you think about it is a good thing, because if somebody writes a, what is it, libelous? Yeah, a testimonial about you that's not true, but it's bad, you don't want that automatically going on your site. So you definitely want to be able to put in your own testimonials, and that's really easy to do. We'll click our plus sign right here to create a new one. Again, we've got a slug and a title, so this is a testimonial right there. And down here we've got the page content here. It's got testimonial right there. It's the same text editor here. I'm going to copy and paste in the same lorem ipsum, where do we go? Right there. Scroll down here. Now we've got some new fields here. Referrer is the name of the person who sent you this referral or this testimonial. So maybe Betty Buyer or Sally Seller or you know, your mom or whoever gave you a testimonial. Under that, affiliation is what is your professional relationship with them? Were they a buyer? Were they a seller? Were they a co-broker on the other side of the deal? Are they a vendor? Are they maybe a broker, your broker, and they wrote you a review? That doesn't happen often, but it could. So this would be a buyer. Under that, we have this checkbox here that's pretty self-explanatory. Do you want to feature this testimonial on your homepage? Only certain themes have the ability to show testimonials on the homepage, and the two KW-specific ones, the Madison and the Madison Metro, do. They have that ability to show testimonials on your homepage. So it's up to you whether you want to feature this testimonial on your homepage. I'm going to go ahead and check that box just to show you what that looks like. Under that, we've got an excerpt here, and you do something, again, a summary of the testimonial that they put in. So Betty Buyer thinks, Scott is a great real estate agent because he worked very quickly, something like that. That's very rudimentary, elementary. You probably don't want to word it that way, but that's just getting you an idea of what the excerpt is. Then we'll copy and paste that down to the meta description, just like we did on, guess I didn't copy it. There we go, just like we did on the blog post. And then again, you've got a section for a featured image here. This is a great place, especially if this is a buyer or a seller, where you can put in a picture of the listing that they bought or sold. Great place to do that, especially if it's your listing. You've got the rights to that picture. And then if it's a buyer that you worked with, that picture is on, you want to get permission from that listing agent to use their picture here. Or say they're comfortable with it, you can actually even put a picture of the person who gave you this testimonial here. I'm going to pretend it's this nice pretty couple here. It's up to you whether you want to put a featured image at all and what you want to put there, but definitely make sure that you have permission to use that image. I do have permission to use this image. This is one of those Creative Commons images that you don't have to get permission to use. Under that, we've got our meta title again. So this would be Happy Client, #1, testimonial, and then put in the rest of our meta title here. There we go. And then again, you can save it as a draft to send live later, or save it to send it live right now. So now if I go over here to From the Horse's Mouth, which is my testimonials index page, here's my testimonial. That's the title there. Apologies, we've got a fire truck going by. I guess somebody's in trouble. Okay, so you've got your title here, test testimonial. Here's my excerpt, Betty Buyer. Thinks Scott is a great real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. Here's that featured image. And if I click on more, it's going to take me to the full text of that testimonial. Fun stuff right there. So pretty simple. Should be about clear as mud for you. If you're having any trouble with that, make sure to send me a message there in the chat window. I can go back over stuff. Then we're going to jump over here to areas. This is the last thing we'll cover today. Areas are a lot more in-depth than a blog post or a testimonial. There's a lot of stuff to put in here, and we actually have a separate section of that first video that I sent you guys, that SEO guide. Was that the first video? Yeah, the first video I sent you, that SEO guide there, there's a whole section in there about how to write an area page, what to put in there, what kind of stuff to put in there. Definitely refer to that video about what to put in there. Here, I'm just going to tell you what the different fields are, and then you can fill it out from there. We also have a, what's that called? A template that we can use. There we go. I just sent that to you guys there. You can use that on your area pages there. It's basically a fill in the blank. You just fill in the blanks, put it into your area page here, and now you have an area page on your site. So for area pages, this is one of the great places to get content on your site that brands you as the local real estate expert. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about how that happens once we're in here. We'll click our plus sign to create a new area page. Again, we've got our title and our slug, so this is going to be our test area, something like that. Under that, we've got a drop down here for type of area, and these are your options. Is it a county? Is it a region, which is apparently multiple counties? Is it a locality, which is the term that they used for city or town or township or corporation or whatever? Is it a small physical area like a city or a town? Is it a postal, whether it's a zip code or a postal code in Canada? And then is it a neighborhood? Most of the time, my personal recommendation is you want to write at the neighborhood level. You want to be what's called hyper-local. The more hyper-local you can be, the more you're going to brand yourself as that local real estate expert. Say there's a new subdivision being built by your favorite builder in your area. Definitely talk to that builder and get some information about what's going to be going in there, how many beds and baths on average, what the price is going to be, what the square footage is going to be, and then you can put that here in this area page. And that may be the only thing on the web, on the internet about this area that's not just a list of here's listings that are available in that neighborhood. People may be looking for, okay, what's it close to? Is it close to this hospital? Is it close to this school? Is it close to this military installment? Most of the time, where it's a list of here's this home, here's this home, here's this home, that's not going to give that information on that list. But here in your area page, you can definitely give that information. It's easy to find. So I'm going to choose a neighborhood here. Under that, it says name of area. These are going to come from your MLS. Now, this is supposed to be just neighborhoods, but you notice we've got like Lafayette County right here. So this isn't just neighborhoods, but you know the name of the neighborhood that you're actually writing about. I'm going to put in, I'm going to pick this Liberty. No, actually, I'm going to find one that actually I know the name of. There we go. We'll call it Murfreesboro. I know that's a city. It's not a neighborhood, but we're just going to choose that for the sake of having some listings on the page here. This would be the name of your neighborhood, and usually you just want to put that same name up here in the title. And then down here in default sort, what happens is at the bottom of this area page on your site, it's going to list whatever listings are in this particular area from the MLS that you chose in this drop down right here. So you can sort those by price highest, days on site newest, beds and baths, year built. So say this is a historic neighborhood and I wanted to show the oldest year built listings that are in this area first on this page. You can definitely choose that. Say it's a luxury area that you're writing about, you may want to sort them by price highest. Or say it's a brand new development, you may want to do days on site newest. So these are the freshest listings that have come onto the MLS. It's up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to do year built oldest. And then under that, we've got this checkbox here for should this area be featured. That means on your area's index page, let me go back over here. Communities I serve here, is this area going to be listed at the top of the page? By default, it's going to list them alphabetically. what was I going to say there? So say this area started with S, but you had some areas previously that started with A, B, and C. This would by default show underneath those, but say this is, again, a luxury area or somewhere that you want to do a lot of work in, you may want to feature it to show it at the top of the page. Now, if you check this box for multiple area pages, those featured listings will still be at the top of the page, but then the featured ones are, or excuse me, featured pages are going to be alphabetical as well, and then it'll go alphabetical by the ones that aren't featured. If that's clear as mud, let me know. Under that, we've got this slideshow section. I'm going to check this box, or I'm not going to check that because it's the same result because we've only got one of these. Okay, under that, we've got this slideshow section here. This is very similar to the slideshow on the home page with one big exception. As far as we can tell, there's no limit to how many slideshow images you can have in this section. So I'm going to upload several of them. Put that one in there. Put that one in there. There we go. So we've got 5 images here, which on the home page, that's the maximum number of images you can have a slideshow. We've tested this and we've done 10 plus, so you can basically add as many images as you want to this slideshow. It's up to you. Now it does say that the images should be 1600 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall. Now I'll show you what that looks like on this picture right here. It's just like the slideshow on the home page. It's going to cut off the top and bottom except for the middle 600 pixels. So I'll show you what that looks like on the page. Under that, we've got our page content. This is where it gets a little bit more in depth. You've got a first section, a second section, and a third section. And we'll just go in and put in some dummy text in here just to show you what that looks like on the site. So this is section 1. Gosh. And then we'll get some lorem ipsum text here to put in the body. And then between the first section and the second section is an image that's the full width of the page. And I'm going to do this right here. There we go. So this image here between the first and the second section, you want it to be landscape. You want it to be wider than it is tall. It says it should be 600 pixels wide. That's a minimum. If it's wider than 600 pixels, it's just going to scale it down to where it fits in 600 pixels. It's not going to cut anything off. If it's smaller than 600 pixels, though, it's going to try to blow it up, and it may end up blurry. So you do want to start with bigger than 600 pixels if you can. Then down here, we've got section 2, and we'll put some lorem ipsum text in there. Under that, we've got these 2 spots to upload an image, and these are going to show side by side to separate section 2 from section 3. These you want to be portrait. You want them to be taller than they are wide, and it says they should be 300 pixels wide. Again, that's an at least number. If they're wider than 300 pixels, it's just going to shrink it down to 300 pixels. So these are going to be side by side. You want to make sure that they're about the same size, so one isn't taller than the other, and they're going to separate section 2 from section 3. Under that, we've got our section 3, and we've got some more content down here, and there is no last image down here at the bottom, so you're only uploading images between section 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. Again, down here we've got an excerpt. Gosh, right there. There we go. And then for a featured image, typically you probably want to put in the first image that you used in the slideshow up at the top of the page, but you can, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put in this first image, but you can do a different image there if you wanted to. You could use one of these section images, I guess, if you wanted, or even a different image if you've got it. Under that, again, we've got our meta title and our meta description. So this is test area, communities I serve. That's what it is. It's a type, communities I serve. And then we've got the rest of our meta title here. There we go. And then down here we've got our meta description. And then again, just like on blog posts and testimonials, recommend copying the excerpt down here to the meta description. Again, you can save it as a draft to send live later, but we're going to send it live now by clicking save. So now if I come over here to communities I serve, now I've got this new area right here. It's our test area. Here's our excerpt. If I click on read more or the image or the title, it'll take me through to the actual area page itself. Up here is my slideshow whenever it decides to load. There we go. And it's going to slide through those 5 images that I uploaded. And again, you can upload more images if you want to. Down here, it'll view all listings from this MLS area that you chose in that drop down. Remember, go back to that. Here we've got our section 1 in our content, then we've got that separator image right there. Got our section 2 in our content, then we've got our two side-by-side separator images, and then we've got our section 3 in our content, and then it shows listings in that area on the map here, and here's those listings here in a list form. So that's how you create an area page. Again, we do have that template that I just sent you guys in the chat window a little while ago. Definitely use that template and write about, start with your neighborhood for sure, then the neighborhood next door, and then maybe a new neighborhood from a builder, or maybe a historic neighborhood, or a famous neighborhood, or a luxury neighborhood. There's lots of content available, or content ideas that you can write yourself here in these area pages. Let's see here. That's pretty much all we're going to cover in our Placester 201 class today. So I'm going to leave it open for questions for a little while. Leave the recording open. If you don't have questions and you don't want to wait around to see if anybody else does, you're welcome to go about your day. Have a great day. But I am going to leave it open for another minute or two to see if anybody does have questions. If you do, send them over in the chat form there, and I will respond to them if we get any.